First, I'd like to introduce to you a gentleman who is helping lead the fight. He's done quite a bit in helping organize opposition to the state's efforts to do the testing here, keep them off the land. The spokesperson for NAT. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a big round of applause to Mr. Harold Jenkins.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. We want to welcome everybody here today, especially give a warm welcome to the nice folks from Iredell, Rowan County that's down with us today. Back in the back there, I see some of them with the hats up. Thanks for coming down. I was up a couple of weeks ago to that area. Me and a friend of mine, Leroy Smith, and some others went up, and they had a nice parade up there, and it was spectacular. It must have been a mile and a half long. They had about 5,000 people. They had the sheriff standing on the board, running board like of one of the vehicles with his badge, his star up on here, leaning out, waving at everybody. It was an awesome sight, and we were just as proud to be there. They were a very hospitable community. As we look around us here, we see a beautiful lake, and I hope I don't talk long because I got this thing, I'm ready for the music to start, and I promise not to. As we look around us here, we see a beautiful lake, and the sky and everything is just gorgeous, and what we're all about here and what we're here for is to keep this from becoming a dump for toxic waste anywhere in Granville County or any place in North Carolina. I read an article in the paper a very short time ago, a couple of 3 or 4 days, that said the Hazardous Waste Commission tried to place this, offered it to any of the 100 counties in North Carolina. Any county that wanted it could have it. Nobody wanted it. Nobody still wants it, but they've determined now that nobody wants it, that it's perfectly safe. It's a multi-million-dollar installation. It's going to produce a few jobs, some of them even for the people that live in the area probably. It's going to have a profit estimated to be between $3 and $12 million a year, and nobody wanted it. And still they say it's perfectly safe. You should want it in your community. You should have it, and there's no problem with it. The same company that they're proposing to bring down here, Thermochem, as I understand it from news reports, is even suing the very state they're operating in now, South Carolina, to double the capacity. South Carolina doesn't want them to do it, and they're suing that state. And we get that particular company to come down here and say they're the best one available. And I've got all kinds of questions about that. I don't have any question, though, about the fact that we don't want them here in Granville County. Iredell, Rowan are nowhere in North Carolina. We appreciate everything everybody's doing. This is for that particular purpose, a benefit for that particular purpose. And thanks to everybody, Mike, and all the guys and gals that make this happen. And we certainly do appreciate it. Thanks, peace be with you, and keep the fight up. Everybody loves you. Bye-bye.
Our editorialist is going to come up now and introduce some folks for you. She's done quite a bit of writing and has done quite a bit of work in bringing speakers and information into Granville County here to let everybody know what's going on and what we can do. So everyone, I'd like to introduce to you now Miss Glenda Whitefield.
I'd like to welcome you again today, and this is really a day of celebration. We were supposed to have been sited on July 1st, and so far we've held them off in both counties, so I think we need to give ourselves a hand. And I'd like to introduce to you a member of GROW and a member of the staff of the independent newspaper that's done so much wonderful work for us. His name is Fran Zankowski, and he's going to talk to you a little bit on freedom.
Hi. On July 4th of this year, one of the columnists for The Independent, Hal Crother, wrote an article talking about freedom. If you have a chance, I wish you would pick it up. We have some copies at GROW. But what he talked about was the people of Granville County, GROW, NAT, the people of Rice, Iredell, and Rowan County, and how they're eco heroes. And the term that he used for these people was warriors of the wasteland. And that's what we like to think of ourselves. So today, we'd like to honor these people in a little simple ceremony we hope you all enjoy. It's kind of humorous. The warriors of the wasteland. To honor two very important people who have been leaders in the waste wars, we would like for Harry and B.B. Coleman to please come up on stage. Come on, BB. BB and Harry run the Creedmoor Butner News, right?
Butner Creedmoor.
They're the publisher, and they have been leaders in the fight in this part of Granville County. So for services rendered above and beyond the call of duty. That wasn't me. We would like to crown Harry and BB king and queen of the wasteland. And here are your warriors.
The pen may be mightier than the sword, but I'd rather you keep your swords too, just in case.
Today we have a very special speaker with us. Her name is Billie Elmore, and she's from North Carolina Warren, which is the Waste Awareness and Reduction Network. Billie is a seasoned veteran of the waste wars. She's been in this thing since the beginning. She's been on the battle line since the whole thing started in Lee County when her home county was cited. And out of that grew North Carolina Warren. It's an environmental network that encompasses 36 groups, and it's growing all across the state. Every time a county has been cited, Billie in North Carolina Warren seems to have made its way onto the phone list of people to call, and people have called her in large numbers all the time. They've always answered the call with information that the counties needed, and so far, when NC Warren has been involved, no county has lost its battle. So I'd like for you to welcome now Billie Elmore of NC Warren.
Thank you. Emile Zola once said, "When truth is buried underground, it grows, it chokes, it gathers such an explosive force that on the day that it bursts out, it blows up everything with it." North Carolina Warren is working to force the truth out about Caldwell Systems. We wrote a letter to Governor Martin and held a news conference last week. Here is what we said to him. Dear Governor Martin, we are writing on behalf of 36 organizations in North Carolina to ask that you appoint an independent panel to investigate the state's shortcomings in regulating the Caldwell Systems hazardous waste incinerator in Caldwell County. With the recent intervention by the EPA in declaring a public health advisory, we believe the state should come to grips with why this situation occurred. Specifically, we are asking you to appoint an independent panel of state legislators, environmentalists, and Caldwell County officials to examine the public record to determine if state laws and regulations must be changed to better protect public health. We know that if there are deficiencies in our public health and environmental laws and regulations, that you will want to see them strengthened. Specifically, we are asking that the panel investigate why state health officials issued a report as recently as July 27, 1990, that the concentrations of inorganics and organics detected were not sufficient to pose a significant long-term or short-term risk to public health. Number 2, if state officials knew that serious problems existed at Caldwell Systems in 1987, why no action was taken? Number 3, what are the state laws and regulations that need bolstering in order to adequately protect public health? Number 4, what other systemic problems exist in our state agencies that inhibit protection of public health and safety near hazardous waste facilities? We hope that you will appoint this panel immediately. We are concerned that health threats may exist around other hazardous waste facilities like Carolina Solite, and that proper action has not been taken to ensure the protection of the health and environment of North Carolina. I heard from the Charlotte Observer on Friday that the governor will be appointing an investigative committee this coming week. Unless there are representatives of grassroots environmental organizations and Caldwell County representatives included on the panel, we will not accept it as a credible panel regardless of who is appointed. It is time for the governor to recognize that the people of North Carolina have an inherent right to participate in state government, particularly some of those people who have demonstrated their concern for the health and safety of the citizens of this state. Other activities going on now on your behalf include efforts of the Sierra Club and the Conservation Council of North Carolina. These two groups have written to the Environmental Review Commission of the General Assembly recommending that the Governor's Waste Management Board be abolished. In their letter, and let me just read you a few excerpts. This letter was written by Levon Page, the president of the Conservation Council of North Carolina. He says, and this letter was written to Senator Russell Walker and Representative David Devon, who are co-chairmen of the Environmental Review Commission. I am writing on behalf of the Conservation Council of North Carolina to urge that the Environmental Review Commission investigate the Waste Management Board. Conservation Council believes that your investigation will lead you to join us in concluding that the board is unnecessary and should be abolished by the 1991 General Assembly. And these are just excerpts from the letter. It is difficult for citizens and local governments to obtain factual and current information from the board. Instead of assisting citizens and local governments, the board appears to be organizing and frightening generators of hazardous waste and radioactive waste. The Conservation Council doesn't recall the Governor's Waste Management Board sending action alerts to environmentalists in support of strict liability or cleaning up hazardous waste dumps or expanding the pollution prevention pays program. When the budgets of environmental enforcement and monitoring programs are being slashed, how can the board spend taxpayers' funds propagandizing and lobbying for, and in quote from the Hazardous Waste Management Board, for such things as hazardous waste can be managed safely if we have appropriate facilities. Well, we know that's a bunch of bull, don't we? The memo insists, as it urges waste producers to, quote, educate the public. Citizens no longer regard the board as a credible source of information. Those are just a few of the sentences. So you do have other environmental organizations out there that are attempting to help. I would encourage you to call the governor on the hotline and call these Senator Walker and Representative Devon and reinforce that you too want the Governor's Waste Management Board abolished. The next major initiative going on is to document that tremendous amounts of overcapacity exist in the 5 states in the agreement. We intend to show without a doubt that planning for oversized waste management facilities has taken place in the 5 regional agreement states. We intend to show without a doubt that North Carolina does not need this incinerator and that the 5 state regional agreement states already possess far more capacity than will be needed in the next 20 years. Regardless of what is being done statewide, you cannot sit back and hope that any one thing will make a difference. This fight is so important to you and to your children that no stone can be left unturned. Here are some of the new directions that need to be explored. Nationally, large international or national corporations generate 99% of all hazardous waste. These are corporations that can very well afford to detoxify or recycle their waste on site. Yet, interestingly, we are not hearing a peep out of any of them. They are more than happy to protect their corporate images and let the Martin administration fight with the public over the siting of this facility. It is now time to put pressure on the generators of hazardous waste, on these large corporations. Citizens need to call them and send them questionnaires. Then you need to widely distribute and make available to the media the kinds of responses that you get from them. I have a list with me today of 100 of the top generators of